Good afternoon all. Hey Michael. Merry Christmas, season's greetings and all that.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Oh, good morning, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Okay guys, I think we have a room full here, so we've got about 8-10 minutes for Leo Cullen please, and then we'll do a quick swap over to the next call. As you would have seen from my text message, just a little bit of a change up to the schedule for this week. So Leo only up today please guys. Yeah, it's been a busy morning, as I'm sure you've all aware now, having seen the media release. So without further ado, Michael, you've got your rights holder for this game this weekend, so I'll lead the room, and we'll leave it to the floor then to ask you a couple of questions. Alright, so Michael Corcoran, in your own time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks Marcus. Good morning, Leo. Compliments of the season to you. And thanks for your email, which we were trying to read before. Sorry, your smiley face there. Look, the reality is this COVID thing is not going away. It's troubling times, it's worrying times, and it was bound to hit you sooner or later. I mean, what sort of an impact is it having in terms of match preparation? The game last week called off, and obviously a match coming up in a few days' time.
Yeah, but we haven't trained yet since the start of last week. So I guess on the timeline piece, we would have tested last Tuesday, where there were some positives last week, and obviously that was leading into the game, but some of those positives were retested and came back negative, so obviously that created a bit of uncertainty. So it wasn't until obviously late in the day on the Thursday of last week, and obviously the game had been called at that stage based on the fact that the original tests hadn't come back at that stage. So but yeah, I think it was the correct decision to make. It was one of those decisions, yeah, you could have ploughed on, but there was still so much uncertainty, and as you touched on, it's very prevalent. COVID is very prevalent at the moment, as we've all reading and hearing about on a constant basis. So the welfare of all the people involved here, staff and players. So we've tested, as you've read from the piece here. We tested yesterday. So today's our first day back in the building. Obviously the player that has tested positive is now isolating. So today will be the first day we'll train. So we'll truck on now again and get ourselves ready for Connacht. Obviously we had started preparation for the Munster game, didn't take place, and the players are good at just moving on to the next task, and our next challenge now is Connacht. So we watched their game against Ulster. We know obviously they're a tough challenge at the best of times because they've lots of ex-Leinster men down there, and they always have a huge point to prove when they come up here to play against us. So we've seen that over many years, and I'm sure this week will be no different.
Does the latest COVID thing reinforce the point that people need to be extra vigilant? I'm not saying people drop their guard or otherwise, but people literally have to watch where they go and who they interact with. I mean, it's the same message for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, particularly this time of year. I think there was, with talk of vaccines and the optimism with that, I suppose it does come with people letting their guard down to a certain extent. And as you've seen from the case numbers on a daily basis, generally the trend has gone upwards, which is a bad thing. And obviously, as the cases are more prevalent in society, then all of us are more exposed to that. So particularly at this time of year, which is a very social time of year, with family and friends meeting up and want to continue on, I guess, past traditions. So as we know, it's a very different time that we're living in currently. So the time was nice for lots of us with family over Christmas, but we knew that there's certain risks that come with that as well. So hence we got about the testing process this week, and as I said, it's good news in terms of we've bar one person that's isolated at the moment from this current batch of testing.
Just in terms of the game, I know you'll be concentrating an awful lot on yourself this week, given the fact you're just starting training today. But your impressions of Connacht, the last couple of games, they've been on the wrong side of results, but they're a pretty dangerous team. These matches between Leinster and Connacht over the last couple of years have taken on a bit of life of their own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think there's that extra bit in the game because of some of that familiarity. I guess, as I said, touched on, there's a lot of players that are playing for Connacht that are ex-Leinster guys. So whether that's come through the academy underage system or some senior players that have gone down there as well. So those guys we know are hugely motivated, so it's important that we understand that in terms of our preparation going into the game. I thought Connacht were strong in the first half against Ulster. As we know, the sports ground, the wind can pick up at various different moments in that game and in that ground. So Ulster seemed to definitely get the benefit of the conditions on the day, and were able to squeeze Connacht a bit in the second half in terms of just filling the front line with defenders, and it was quite difficult for Connacht to play out. But you saw earlier on, since we've restarted, when we restarted initially, I thought we in Connacht off the back of the break, and everyone saw the performance they put in against Ulster in that opening weekend, and you see some of the quality play that they have. So very, very dangerous attacking team, and we need to make sure we're clued into the threats that they have.
And just a final question from me, how likely is it that we will see Johnny Sexton or Ty Furlong in the coming weeks, or where are they in terms of getting back to fitness?
You'll hopefully see them in the next few weeks, so which will be positive. But again, they're just some of the national guys were getting a break at this time of year anyway. So as is the normal course of events, obviously we're heading into we're in the middle of a very, very long season. When you think you obviously have to finish last season, so we had that block of finals, high intense pressure games at the start of the season. Then you're into this sequence of internationals and Europe, and so guys have been managed well. So some guys were going to be off last week and this week anyway. So that plan hasn't changed. So there's always lots of moving parts at this time of the year anyway. COVID adds a new dynamic that none of us ever got taught at coaching college. But Tig is obviously making steady progress, so he'll up his involvement in terms of team training now this week, and hopefully that gets him that little bit closer to a return.
Thank you.
Hey Leo, how's it going?
Hi Patrick, how are things?
Good, thanks. Listen, I suppose just in terms of I saw from the release there that close contacts are being identified. Does that mean you're going to be maybe missing a few more players for this game of the weekend?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and some of the close contact bit is even whether it's a friend or a family member that a player may have been, or a staff member for that matter, may have been in contact with. So yeah, we need to be very, very careful who we hang out with these days. So it's very, very tricky time.
And just in terms of, I was looking at, with Marcel Coetzee being announced that he's heading back, even though he was contracted for another season at Ulster. I was kind of looking, I know you guys only have Scott Fardy there, but are you hoping to keep him on for another season? And is it a thing of maybe for the next couple of years with the financial pressure on the union, it might just be all in-house and kind of Irish players are the ones that are kind of prioritised in terms of contracts?
Those conversations are always ongoing. So, we've, as you say, like Scott Fardy is the only foreign player, non-Irish qualified player in our squad. Obviously, we have a couple of guys who've come in, James Lowe and Jemison, who got capped in November, which is great for those guys. But yeah, those conversations are ongoing. The landscape is I guess uncertain at the moment, and everything is on pause because of the situation we find ourselves in. So I think that'll all become clear over the course of the next 6 or 8 weeks, we hope. So we'll make decisions on all the players that are off contracts, and it's the same across all the provinces at the moment, and lots of other rugby teams out there as well, and sports teams for that matter.
Just if anyone else wants to jump in, I wouldn't more, but if anybody else wants to jump in, go for it.
No, fire away, Patrick. The floor is yours.
It's just in terms of that Munster game. Has there been any talk about when you're going to make that game up at all? What date?
I haven't heard now. Yeah, so with the announcement from PRO14, so we'll be going to a PRO16 from the current PRO12 that we're in, I think. So the way that finishes up, there's a few free weekends during the course of Six Nations. So I presume, without having any certainty, I'm assuming that it'll be played on one of those weekends. But again, I don't know. I haven't had any confirmation or anything official on that matter. But hopefully we'll be ready to play when the day does come around. But there are weekends free, which is positive, because it's slightly different to some of the other leagues, because other leagues have more games, so at least we've got some games ticked off. We still have that Scarlets game to reschedule as well. There was talk of that game being played post Europe round 4, but again, I haven't seen an official on that yet, so we'll squeeze them in somewhere, hopefully.
Perfect. Thanks.
Before the Rainbow Cup kicks off.
House of Rugby Ireland, here on Joe, together with Guinness. Game changed.